Hi everyone, it's Stephanie. Well, thank you for watching my YouTube channel, B2B Collections and Credit. Today's collections video is of a made-up sample email and computer note for the following scenario. An invoice is not yet paid because of a simple service issue. The made-up example coming up concerns a part, a valve in this case, that broke after 3 days use by the customer, and now the customer does not have that part of the invoice approved for payment. For today's example, the whole invoice remains in limbo, unpaid. AP, accounts payable, who pays the invoices, wants this resolved as much as you do. As a side note, there are times when a partial payment will be made on an invoice with no explanation or an unclear explanation on the remittance to the check, and then a credit on the account might mistakenly get applied to it in order to pay it in full. But that is a rabbit hole for another time for a video on cash application. Ooh, cash application, one of my favorites. Anyway, back to the email on an unpaid invoice, which is unpaid because of a simple service issue. Okay, as you can see, this is to Mike, the service manager at our company, ABC. This is from Stephanie, commercial collector at our company, ABC. The date is April 22nd. The subject is the customer name, company XYZ, invoice 8910, valve $200. The reason I put the company name first on the subject line is because this email is going to the service manager, which is our company. This way he could see who the customer is, and then right away see the invoice number, and then he could see the valve, which is the product issue, and then $200 is the dollar amount issue. And the reason this is all together, not in a sentence and not with commas, is so they could see at a glance what everything is right away when you're scrolling through emails. Here is the body of the email. It says, "Hi Mike." Now remember, that is the service manager at our company. Per Robert, tech manager. There's the phone number, 555-555-1234 at company XYZ. The customer. They do not owe $200 on attached invoice 8910 for $3,500 because part number 123, a large valve, broke on the third day of use. Now, as far as third day of use, a little side note, if this was a construction equipment rental invoice, this might be for fewer days of use than the 8 days charged, or whatever the time period was. As you can see, I tried to make this as concise as possible, just the name, contact information, the part, the amount, and now we're getting into the why. The next paragraph goes on to say, per Robert, is a tech manager at the customer. They were not able to fix it and brought it in for service at our Dubuque store, phone number 222-222-3535 on April 15th, where they were not able to fix it either. There's credibility here, a way to follow up. This was our store. Now we have some documentation of what happened, and this way you could find out who exactly the technician was who helped. And also the result of what happened is there, that they weren't able to fix it either. Now the reason I'm sending this email to Mike is because he will determine if the part was defective or the customer was negligent. And unless that changes, he will remain the one that decides. Please call or email me by April 25th at 2 p.m. to advise if there is a credit due, and this is meaning if the product was defective, or if the $200 is due. This implies some sort of negligence or something like that on the customer's part. That's all I'm putting in there. I'm not putting in or if the customer was negligent. It's sort of implied. However, for a few reasons, I didn't put that in. I'm trying to keep it as neutral as possible and get this moving along as quickly as possible. Anytime you can diffuse or completely leave out any kind of emotion or judgment or anything like that, or that implies that, then leave it out. That's my recommendation. If, however, it's already gotten further and discussed and maybe negligence was involved, then by all means address it as neutral a way as possible, moving the problem along its line to the ultimate goal, which is resolution and payment. I would also leave out the negligent part because I want to address that there are other parts in the inventory that might have the same defect, and if that's the case, you want to find it right away and nip it in the bud. An example unrelated to commercial collections is I worked in a store a long time ago, and I was a cashier, and I have this habit, which I've had for a long time, of looking at the expiration dates on, in this case, potato chips or like any food product that's nearby. It's just an interest of mine. And sure enough, there were a lot of potato chips with a expiration date that was past due. And I pointed it out. Anyways, I'll cut to the chase. They told their supplier that they wanted fresh potato chips. The next shipment came. Sure enough, those expiration dates were old. I couldn't believe it. And there was a third shipment. And this time the manager of that department stood there while the box was open, and he looked at, oh, I still remember this. He looked at the first potato chip. It was expired. Oh, he was mad. And he said, don't even bother opening the other box. Don't even look through anymore. Just take it back. I already told you. And the deliverer guy, he didn't seem surprised either. I believe the following shipment was fine, and they did check them right then and there upon delivery immediately. The point is that you want to catch something right away and nip it in the bud. In the case of a defective part, you want to notice it right away so that way you can address all the other parts that might be defective or related parts. Maybe take a random sampling, not just of this part, but throughout the inventory. It's probably already done already, but I'm just mentioning it. Now, this is an example of something unexpected that accounts receivable credit can contribute to other departments. Listen, we saw this thing and maybe you want to check it out. Anyway, so that is another reason to highlight in the email about the part itself. Once you start getting further into it and negligence is brought up as a possibility, again, with no judgment or emotion, always take the emotion out of it. That's true in work and true in life, in my opinion. I highly recommend it. If you haven't tried it yet, take emotion out of the equation and life could be more pleasant and simpler and easier in some ways, possibly. Let's go on to the rest of the emails. Thank you for your help. Regards, my name and phone number. Okay, now there's the email. The manager from your company is reading it. Be clear and concise on the dollar amount and if it's to be credited or if it's due. One or the other, which is it? And you want to have reconciliation where both records match, yours and the customer's, and that makes it a lot easier going forward. Now let's go on to the note that's put into the system. You can see the date is 4/22/20, the collector's initials, and the body of it is emailed Mike, service manager. There's his extension. That Robert, tech manager, company XYZ, phone number. The reason all these slashes are there is just so you can see the name and contact information real quickly and easily. Said $200 is not due on invoice 8910 because part number 123, large valve, broke on third day and Dubuque store could not fix it. Emailed Mike service to call me back, that's TCMB is to call me back, by 2 p.m. on 4/25 regarding if $200 due or if part defective and $200 to be credited on invoice 8910, which is a total of $3,500. Follow up 4/25 at 3 p.m. with Mike's service. Mike is with our company. 4/25 at 2 p.m. is when he was to get back to me, so I'm allowing an extra hour before I contact him to follow up in case he hasn't yet. Almost always, when you give a day and time for people to call you back or contact you in some way, they usually do it right away, like within a day. A lot of systems, when you put in a follow-up date, prints out follow-ups for that day, and then you can see from the note what time to call. Well, this has been a video of a made-up sample email and computer note to put in the system for an unpaid invoice, which was unpaid because of a simple service issue. Now in this case, the invoice was completely unpaid. Sometimes there's partial payments on invoices. I tried to keep it simple for this video. Anyways, I hope you found this video interesting and informative. Thank you very much for watching, and please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. I do appreciate all of it. Again, my name is Stephanie. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again on the next video.